Good morning. Yes, good morning, good morning, morning. Good morning, Saturday on the day, or as we can say it, it is the uh, summer eve, pre-summer eve. Yes, happy summer solstice coming up, summer solstice eve. Hopefully you're going to do it. And yes, a very happy Father's Day to one and all. You know, we could probably put this as the 74th entry, yet the accomplishments have been, thrilling. And who would ever thought this would be 40 years ago? It's obviously I'm putting back the throwbacks, alumni, alumni thing, obviously with it. I'm doing okay today. And I hope just a reminder, just really a good reminder, get yourself checked out genetically. And if you saw the video that I posted yesterday, basically it's all good. Just making sure that, for one and all, get your checked out genetically. Make sure you're going to be okay. Man, I sound like Coach Mary Feisner or one of the other health teachers with it. Because really, this has been in one way, it's not nothing to cry about. It's nothing to revere about. It's something that we all put in a good fight, whether you have a certain issue in health and whatnot, and um, it's all about the genes. It's all about the good genes in your family. It's not Wrangler or Lee's. I remember saying that. I have good genes. It may not be Lee, Wrangler, Levi, whatever that is. It's basically good, wholesome dream, genes of the family, genetics. And usually some of these genetics, well, there's a certain flaw. So, and obviously I'm coming up with that. So just hopefully check yourself out. That's, part of it. Now, reason why I'm bringing this up and why am I dressing up in my alma mater? Yes, 1986 all the way, baby. And the years. It's because during this time, either it was the 19th or the 20th, and this is really right before the baccalaureate and graduation on a Saturday night, June 28th. We had our graduation. 40 years. Wow, would you believe 40 years would fly by? Wow. And well, where this started was back in 1982. Okay. I just, between seventh and eighth grade on a Saturday afternoon. And actually, I think it was seventh grade. Yeah. I had a passion for, you know, loved the athletics, loved my school, loved, of the bleeding of the red and blue, the vintage red and blue, rather. And, obviously, welcome to Bear Country. Tri Valley all the way, baby. Tri Valley alumni and whatnot. Is obviously I did extracurricular activities, but the main anchor of it all was definitely athletics. And I had the fortunate of being a part of a football team for 4 years, baseball for three, and even basketball. Yes, basketball too, for 3 years in team sports. Now, yes, there were, obviously there's huge recognition with the soccer teams throughout the years with Mary Feisner, softball with Mary Feisner as well, the track and field programs, and even cross country, from a dominant, you know, and I gotta say, shout out to the Ayatoros, Mr. Ayatoro, coach, and Mrs. Ayatoro as well, running the program over there. But yet, the foundation behind the guys' side, the male side, was definitely football in the autumn, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring. And yeah, we actually had some amazing times and whatnot. So from 1982 to 1986, that span of those 4 years, you know, it wasn't about me getting that press clipping in the paper in the Times Herald Record or Sullivan County Democrat, which I'll be showing in a little bit, and it's a vintage one as well. And you know, it was not just being the quarterback or the pitcher or the catcher or a point you know point guard or somebody with the points or with the touchdowns or the home runs or strikeouts, but yet the core of it all was, yes, I was a and still proud of it to this day, a manager, an equipment manager. Okay, I overseed I oversaw the setting up of obviously practices every day. And I remember those, double days of football where you had, morning session and then afternoon session, um, handing out the equipment, making sure everything was prepared, making sure the water was stocked, making sure the field was taken care of. And, you could hear, from the days of Joe Pagano, Jack Jordan, Mike Shea, even Phil Pompey, really those guys were really the heartbeat and all, even the assistant coaches. And I got, get commend like Jerry Grable. And actually Jerry Grable also was the baseball coach back in the day too. So, um, but they made sure the coaches knew what the team had to do. I knew what I had to do behind the scenes. And that's what I really loved about doing behind the scenes, whether one day was painting the football, obviously painting the field goals to make it look more presentable because it was chippy and everything else, and then having a couple smart Alex out there running around, you know, the um, the goals and putting there and like guys, you want paint on your that was freshly painted. You want paint on yourselves? They didn't care. So I made sure I coated and coated and coated again, because it's about appreciation, school pride, and with with the hills, basically on the hill or to the baseball diamond, you know, making sure everything was set up. Football was basically really, with the dummies, making sure the water, obviously there was water for the guys, making sure the press box was cleaned out, make sure it was all aired out before the next time, with it, the PA speaker was running, the clock was running, and obviously it was like really, an authentic, I would have to say really back in the day, we had it, we had a authentic wood stand because we had the shed on the bottom and then obviously the PA on, obviously the PA on top for basically like for the scorekeepers, the one kept time, the referees, the full 9 yards. Okay. And that was really it, just the trip getting up there and looking up there and just seeing the vast field of it and just setting up the pylons and, and making sure, what's there, and I was there about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. I usually arrived with, my parents would drop me down or, a teammate like Jerry Stevens. Thank you, Jerry, for it. And he's more my brother. So really, I have to say that. So shout out to Jerry for those times. And even the Mickelsons. Um, I'm grateful for that. We were, the Big Hollow crew. That's really my the mainstay with it. So, or either I walk down about a mile, you know, down the hill going up to the school, make sure everything was taken care of. Okay. So usually in the morning on the football field, it's like about 8:30, 9 o'clock, making sure everything was set up, make sure everything sounded good, and then when everybody started coming together, whether it was the old Western Sullivan League schools. Now keep in mind, Western Sullivan League was really, us, Tri Valley, Delaware Valley, Jeff Youngsville, Eldred, Roscoe, Livingston Manor, the Six, really the Super Six of that, and then obviously non-leaguers. And really, we had Liberty play, which Liberty was in the Mid Hudson Athletic League. We really never played Monticello or Fallsburg because obviously there was something going on, but I would love to see something, all that. But the original six. And, we usually, go out to like upstate New York, like, to South Seneca, to Whitney Point. This is all football now. Baseball was definitely different, and obviously basketball was definitely different because we really played, with the powerhouses at the time, you know. So I had a good stint in football for the 4 years, and then I stepped down because with me accelerating as senior. Keep this in mind. I should have graduated in 1985, but I accelerated to 1986 because I was at the age of 19. I wanted to get out and see what was going on and worked very hard with it. So um, those were the days. And then there was baseball. Actually, there was basketball for 3 years and tried out on my senior year. Obviously, fun fact, at least I tried out in my senior year. And, Coach Jordan says, we'd like to have you as a manager. I said, okay, no problem. So, and that was, something entirely different with that. And then baseball. Baseball I didn't really try out, but I love the passion of playing catch or, hearing you know, you know, the smell of fresh air in the field and everything else. So, but those were the grand days, from homecomings to senior appreciation days to, in which we built up. But here I am as an equipment manager and managing this, with it. And then obviously, from a joke of the day, some guys, God, it was basically parent jokes or dad jokes back in the day, mind you. And by the way, happy Father's Day. About it, obviously with the dad jokes. Okay. Going right along with that. I hope anybody got that. So trying to make it a little, kind of a little bit of humor here, but those were the days. And I had a good, impressive even coaches have their, one loss records. Some of the students have their one. Even I had a one, and I had a really great winning percentage on those major years. Throughout those school years. So from 1982 to 1986, it was 82, 83, 83, 84, 84, 85, 85, 80. So there was like really those years. So we're wrapping up everything. Obviously, it was the huge year in 1986 in the spring. Obviously, the Ayatoros, obviously the, Tri Valley was, the champions of football back in the day. We could have won, we could have advanced, but obviously we started opening up. Then obviously the powerhouse with the track and field team and the cross country team, which were totally amazing. And then it comes at the end with with the ladies, the Lady Bears, the Diamond Bears, winning the state championship, the Class D championship, and I was very, I'm, very, very joyful and whatnot. Okay, so wrapping up the entire school year, and it happened, like I said, either yesterday on the 19th or today on the 20th. We had our and usually the banquets. Oh yeah, I always enjoyed going to the athletic banquets at the end because it was acknowledgement. We all rooted for each other, including cheerleading. Yes, cheerleading, my dear, cheerleading guys. You know, huge respect to the cheerleaders out there, and you know who you are. And I don't want to do any shout outs, but it's in recognition that you guys did a great job. So here I am as a cheerleader to all the teams because with all the hard work, that recognition, and even the 15 minutes of fame or the spotlight was on on each and every one of us. And it was just amazing. Even the golf team, I forgot we had a golf team, and a very special friend of mine actually, was most valuable player on there. And obviously, you had to, obviously throughout the entire night that year with the athletic banquets. I mean, I stayed in the entire thing. 1985, the summer of 1985, I brought my 110, but I should have brought the 110 for 1986. Dummy me. Who would ever thought, because those were more of the years with it. So, I mean, I got pictures with, the year before with the cheerleaders, getting behind the scene ones with, my friends, getting their recognition. And it was just truly, an amazing time for 1985. But 1980, getting back to 1986, honing down on it, um, in our elementary gymnasium, that's where we had our banquet. And it was really from, great banquet. We had a great guest speaker that year. Now, keep in mind, we had great guest speakers throughout the years past. We had Jets. We had the Jets, New York, represented from the Jets, Mike Augustiniak. The Giants, Johnny Mitzler. And then I was just reading an article because I had the article, I have that in print in 1984 from the bobsledding team, Ed Card. Look up Ed Card 1984, for the bobsledding team, and he did a great keynote speaker about it, and it was a great time with it. And then the awards. So you had most improvement. Actually, I take that back first. We had the varsity letters going out, and then most improvement and most valuable players. Okay, going through the entire night from each of every, that covered, from the fall, winter, and spring sports, and the major accomplishments with it, including the championship teams, the banners, and whatnot. It was just just an amazing feeling. As a matter of fact, as a manager myself, um, actually as a class project, because I fulfilled my um, that year, I fulfilled everything for the regions, whatever. I always went down to the gym and I said, "Gee, Mr. Ayatoro, what would you like me to do with the gym?" I knew we had a couple of championships, Western Southern League championships in there. So I started to do on the banners inside the gym, our football, softball, baseball. Those were, that was quite an honor to create and make it happen. Obviously, with what we had a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago with the tribute, and then you just see the signs of you know the uh, the 40th anniversary of the girls softball team. Obviously, over at Ayatoro Field, you get to see the plaques over there, but always at the gymnasium, you always could take a look at that. So, and it was just in that time. Now we're getting close at the end, and usually at the end, it's usually the big awards. You had the Sportsmanship Award for both male and female, Perseverance Award, male and female, and the Outstanding Senior Male and Female Athlete of the year of each class. So lo and behold, in fact, Mr. Ayatoro, the athletic director back, in the day, said, "You going to stay?" He asked me this question, very subtle, very quietly. He says, "Are you going to stay for the entire, are you going to stay for the entire banquet?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I didn't have any time. I didn't, had any plans because obviously I'd normally go back and do my studies or getting ready for the next week because really it was the next week for us for 1986. So lo and behold, they started doing the Sportsmanship Award. And I'm trying to remember, was it Sportsmanship and Perseverance or whatever, whatever. I think it was the Perseverance Award first. And, I'm just minding my business, paying attention, just so excited and whatnot. And, you know, um, it was like a moment in time. It was something, that moment for the three biggest awards for Tri Valley back in the day. everybody was, wondering who was going to take the big three: perseverance, sportsmanship, and obviously the male athlete and female. Well, it cut me on the male and female athlete of the year because it was senior recognition. Sportsmanship could be, but everything is the paper, and I have to get my glasses on to look at it again because that's going to be, just going to reiterate what the article is. And thank you, Barry Lewis, for doing it. Sullivan County Democrat at the time. The sports editor was Barry Lewis. Hint, hint, wink, wink. We have a connection. Herkimer Generals, Herkimer and whatnot. Obviously he recruited me to go up to Herkimer, but that's another story at another time. So it was definitely the perseverance, the sportsmanship, and the obviously the male and female athlete that year. And I got to bring up this article. This is great. This is absolutely a gem because it may be showing like a little wear and tear, but you look at this, and then you look at the title back in the day, and it goes all the way down. Now, obviously, I'm in the back. Obviously, continuing on the back with the Bears. I'm going to read you this in the back, and I think there's a part of it that you guys, it just kind of blew me away. It was just really, really amazing. And if I think I could see this correctly on the back here, give me a few minutes, give me a moment. It was just absolutely amazing about this because it was just basically this. By the way, this has been featured a lot. If you noticed the presentation of the ball, and you know who these guys are. Tri-Val, you should know who these are. Believe me. Jen, Jen, yep. So it goes beyond saying it was like really the big things were here to highlight it. Now, friend of mine, student council president, Larry Whipple, got the sportsmanship of the year, sportsman of the year. And it was all Phil as well in that. I'm trying to recall on this as well. He got the sportsmanship award. Female went to Sarah Clark, and then male perseverance award. It was frozen in time, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. Huh. This baby. Let me show it right there. 40 years ago, perseverance. How I was awestruck. I was shocked. I was. It was the biggest grin. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, from my peers and from the coaches. So from the coaches, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for letting me get this award. And this award right here, what they said, this award, this is definitely my Super Bowl trophy, World Series trophy, Stanley Cup, Grammy, Oscar, Emmy. This is it. Perseverance has really paid off because of all the hard work, the teasing, and whatnot. So, and in regards with this too, which was great. And then obviously, you saw the clip with Tim Yeager dominating, the athlete of the year, which was, phenomenal. Now, the next day, I quietly went upstairs, put this on the table. Mom was kind of taking a nap. She saw it, and I saw her expression. It was definitely tears of happiness. It was basically in, job well done. And you see, nobody would actually, would do this. So I felt very, very recognized, part of the history. And as a matter of fact, if you go to during the school year, you'll get to see my little name on the plaque. So it's absolutely amazing. So it was truly just a an amazing time. And there's an inside running joke, with the coaches in Western Sullivan League. I had the late great Fred Ahart from Roscoe, kind of like tooting, between coaches and kind of pull me off to say, hey, we'd like to have you up there for, taking over. I could have been there, could have been and say, okay, what do you want to do? Women board? Let's do it. Or Delaware Valley with Ron Bernhardt. And we just started cracking jokes. Andy Taggart from Livingston Manor, aka actually he was coach over at Tri Valley, very very well known basketball coach in the area. So everybody wanted me to go over there because I knew how to take care of things here, with my school district. I said, nope, red and blue forever, baby. Bears country forever. Being a Bear forever. Now, years go by, 10 years, and it was 1996. And I was working at WVOS at the time as sports director. And this is definitely something that I kind of said this to, on this, because I got up to the platform. I said, first of all, congratulations to all the athletes who participate in Tri Valley Bear sports the academic year. They certainly gave best competing, their best comp- competing in their respective sports. And then I highlighted this. Perseverance is much importance for any male and female athlete. They persist in the challenge for that particular sport. It may be baseball, softball, football, basketball, track, or any sport to be the best in. And I should include manager. And managers are very, very important because they're the key part of it. They also cheer on for their teammates for certain goals and know that they did their best. It may be the players, the scorekeepers, and or the managers who persevere for that particular team. And then I put this out there. In June of 1986, I was the recipient for this prestigious award. It was certainly a task, but my teammates and myself achieved a few goals. There's one thing to remember: perseverance is your dream. Persevere in your dreams and goals. Okay, it's almost like saying Jim Valvano with "Don't give up, don't ever give up, raise the bar." That's why I'm doing this in ties with it. Because in anything else with it, with this, what the accomplishment is, it's just simply amazing. So I'm just glad I could actually bring this up, because this is definitely well worth to remember. And just the memories, it was just absolutely, whoever thought 40 years ago I was the recipient for the Tri Valley Male Perseverance Award. And as ironically, in 1983 now, okay, my brother, and proud to say he's my brother, Jerry Stevens, took that prestigious award too. He was a recipient of the Tri Valley Male Perseverance Award. So all in all, it was just a real adventure, good times, made me tougher, and actually made me tougher and right. And right now, what it means to me today, as I continue to fight this battle with the pancreatic cancer, I'm persevering. I'm hoping, keeping good faith. You know, it's just a magical thing. So anyway, I thought I just brought that up. This is a great one. I know it's a little longer than normal, but it's absolutely, who'd ever thought? I mean, just one for the road. I mean, obviously, this has been been an incredible year for the future generations. And yes, Barry Lewis, thank you, Barry, for a beautiful article. You know, so and I'm going to tell you the 75th entry is going to start up next week, number 31. Gee, I should say number 31. This is my jersey. Ironically, fun fact, and here's a good trivia question. the other jersey that I had when I started was number 44. Then I felt comfortable with number 31. So anyway, have an amazing day. Have an amazing week. Thank you for your time with peace, love, and obviously friendship. And congratulations to one and all who are, living the dream, making it happen, always raising the bar and never giving up. So this is Chuck Martin, sports director, everything else, and with the total package. Just an amazing time. And again, we'll chat soon. Peace.